Stamina and keep on trucking shoes. Now, that keep on trucking term I actually picked up from Matthew McConaughey, which I thought was really actually quite interesting, that he's actually turned out to be this kind of like motivational speaker kind of person. And I mean, he was a real rom-com kind of specialist, hasn't he, actor? So I was really quite blown away by him going that route. But one of his favorite terms that he likes to say is like, when the going gets tough. And now I've got that song going, when the going gets tough, tough get going. Is that, I think it was an 80s song. I'm going to have to look that one up. Sorry, it just came and sideswept me there. So I had to share that with you for a moment there, ladies, my super soul sisters. But Matthew McConaughey always talks about keep on trucking. Like, even when the going gets tough, you just got to keep toughing it out, keep going, pushing through, So, your stamina shoes is pretty much the same sort of thing. It's really like when you really want to be just giving up and going, I'm done, I can't take this any longer. And this is particularly prevalent, especially when you are, dare I say, in relationships that aren't working out and you're stuck in it, or you've got an addiction of some sort and you're really wanting to give up and you're just not succeeding, or you're finding that you're self-sabotaging for whatever reason. And it's a bit of a tricky one, really, because it really does depend on multiple circumstances, your circumstance that you're in, the kind of support that you've actually got, the kind of network that you've got to lean on, which is kind of why I like my Super Soul Sisters, Facebook group, because that's really what that's all about, is where not only are you learning, but you're in a community where you've got, super soul sisters wearing similar shoes to you, walking on the same path as you, going in the right direction, and helping you on your way. And sometimes to get out of shoes that you're not used to wearing, and really were very unhealthy probably for you to wear, be it emotionally, physically, or both, you gotta go, well, okay, I'm in the situation now where that's happened. How do I get into this new pair of shoes? And then it's not easy for some people to actually do that. Like, if you've been so socially conditioned in a particular way and forced to wear shoes that you've never wanted to wear, or you've made unwise decisions in your past and you've adopted, like, druggy shoes, or your drinking boots, or, your sex kitten shoes, or your, over device shoes, and you've just disconnected so much from everybody, including the ones that you love the most, letting go of those addictions, aholisms, I call them, it could be workaholic, it could be too much exercise, it can be, drinking. It doesn't really matter what it is. Whatever that aholism is irrelevant. It's basically where you are so lost in or distracting yourself and soothing yourself that you're soothing whatever the pain is, and addressing the pain, like getting those pair of shoes that I was talking about before, where it's like, I'm done, I'm not wearing these shoes anymore. Half of it is determining whether you really are done, which is what we were talking about before with the I'm done shoes. It's like, are you really done, or are you only sort of halfway down the cliff, where you're like, I'm feeling really, and I think it's time for a change, but really you fall back into the same old patterns, and it's self-destructive again. So it's like, what do we do? How do we stick with that pair of shoes? So I'm done, and now you've got to have your stamina shoes. Now you've got to keep on trucking. Like, when the going gets tough, don't bolt, don't kick them off, don't fall back into, and relapse, or, fall into this zone of like, how do I get out of this, I'll just go back to my drinking, or I'll just have one drink, or I'll just start smoking again, or, a one night stand here wouldn't be so bad, and then I'll stop tomorrow. Oh, I hear that a lot. I'll go hard tonight and then I'll stop tomorrow, I'll go to, eat a whole bag of chips and chocolate and tubs of ice cream, whatever it is. Okay, So how do we go to the point where we actually putting on our stamina shoes and our keep on trucking shoes and have it where they stay on? And remember I was talking about the vacuum shoes before, where it's like if you fall into a vacuum, if you are not prepared, this is where I find that your stamina wanes. This is when you kick off your keep on trucking shoes and you fall back into and relapse into the behavior that didn't serve you before. So it'll be things like, not being prepared enough. Like I was talking about the vacuum shoes. Now, if you haven't watched that video, I would suggest that you do go back and watch that, because it does follow on nicely into this. So it explains to you so that you can watch out for these things and be prepared before they actually come along. So let's give you an example. Say for example, you've decided that you're over. I don't know. I was going to say drinking. Like big drinking shoes, but like not everybody's a big drinker, so it could be that you're overeating. Just pick one of your things. I think Gabor Mato says like the term of addiction is where we have a preference for a particular thing to soothe or distract us, and we use that as our primary source of reprieve. Okay, it's something along those lines. So it might be that you're Netflix aholic and you are addicted to Netflix, to your device, and to the point where you're so distracted that you don't give any of your time to your family, right? And it's like, well, okay, in an instance like that, obviously one would like to think that it's going to be easier than, say, having a chemically induced upset where it's through alcohol or drugs or whatever. And it's going to be a lot harder for those ones with those more deeper seated, and the type of drug and the type of alcohol and how much they're doing and all that. But the idea is getting clear at the start. If I've got my drinking boots on, for example, and I know I've got my I'm done shoes, I'm done, I don't want to drink anymore, I'm over it, and I'm genuinely not prepared to do this anymore. Before I kick them off, let's get clear about what the vacuum shoes are, and understand before you kick those off that the vacuum needs to be addressed before you start going. Now that's not an excuse to keep on drinking, just to be sure that you know that. Okay, so put the things in place. Okay, I realize that I'm going to need to adjust my social life and my lifestyle, etc., etc. So that we've spoken about the drinking ones before. So I'll go back maybe to the device thing. Maybe it's that I just don't turn my phone on at night. So my vacuum thing might be, I feel really uncomfortable having to have conversations with people. Actually, do you know what I've decided, or I think I might have social anxiety. Maybe that's one of the reasons. Or what am I trying to shut out that I'm not wanting them to come close to me? Why am I building, like I was explaining that one time where and it's not uncommon, where the man said to me, he said, look, what I was building a tower around me, thinking that it was protecting me, but what I didn't realize is that I was locking everybody else out. And quite often, dare I say, that is quite often the case, I find, with device disease. What I call your device shoes is when they're doing that, and it's just like they're shutting out in order to protect themselves. But what they find is that they'll end up becoming abandoned, if you like, and lonely, because they've actually shut everyone out, and it's typically their own doing, but they don't see it that way at the time. So understanding what the vacuum shoes are, and then getting to the point where it's like, do you know what, I'm done with this, I'm done with feeling lonely, I'm done, I wonder why I'm actually doing that. Get your investigator shoes on, your Sherlock Holmes shoes, and going, geez, I wonder why I do that. Getting enough curiosity around it to actually go, do you know, I'm done with that. I actually, my kids are growing up and I'm missing their life. And once they've moved out of the house, that's it. They're gone, and like, I'm never going to be able to have that time with them again. Ever. It's gone. It's never coming back. and I'm finding it really hard to let my device go. So what do I do? What do I do? What are the strategies? Where can I get the right support? And if I take my vacuum shoes in, and so that I'm prepared, what are the things that are likely going to be? Well, they might land up going on their devices now, because that's what they're conditioned to do. So maybe it's that I actually say to them, okay, normally I would sit on my device, but I've decided that I'm spending too much time on my device, and actually I want to be spending more time with you. Could we play a board game? Maybe we can go out for a walk together. So you're prepared before you do it. And then when you've got the I'm done shoes on, stick with it. This is where your stamina shoes are. This is the keep on trucking shoes. It's like, don't just do it for one night and then it's gone. Stay consistent, stay steady, keep your pace, like don't go all out, because this is quite common as well. It's kind of like the whole exercise thing, like the beginning of the year, everybody hits the gym, and then within 2 or 3 weeks, half of the membership has dropped away. So you want to stick with it. So have realistic kind of goals and settings that where you can go, okay, I'm going to take that step, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. So I might say, okay, we'll do board night once a week, board games. It might be that we go for a walk or something, or maybe we can go to a movie, or actually probably not a movie, because we don't want to be doing devicey things that buy into that, and now it's become a shared device issue. But thinking outside of the square and filling that vacuum space, rather than just sitting oddly staring at them going, well, I don't know what to say to you, and then after a while it's so uncomfortable you end up going back on your device, don't you? So that you don't want to be doing that, people. You don't want to be doing that. So it's getting clear, and it's like sticking with that stamina. So if you said, like, I'm going to do 3 nights a week with my family, for example, stick to 3 nights a week. If you're saying it's going to be between 5 and 8 o'clock at night, then fantastic, and then maybe you can go on your devices afterwards, or have it where you have X amount of time on your device, and you actually have a timer that actually sets it. So that gives you an example of you keeping onto it. And then what you do then is, you also, to help you with your stamina, is you get the support from people around you. So remember I was telling you about the Lipton shoes, about your environment, who you surround yourself with, and who's going to support you to get you onto your path in your shoes and keep you in your shoes on your path going your way, is going to be a large amount of it will also be the support that you're getting from people wearing like-minded shoes, which is what the whole point of the Facebook group is. The Super Soul Sisters, Vicki Jane group in Facebook is all about that. It's so that when you're walking along there, and you can ask them, hold me accountable, like if in that example of the devices, you can actually say, look, kids, if I'm on my device at 5 o'clock or whatever time you've actually set, you can then say to them, okay, can you keep me accountable? Can you make sure that, like, if it's 5:30, you go, mum or dad or whoever, look, you said that you were going to make this time free between these times, and you haven't. And vice versa, because then there might be a bit of retraining required, what we call behavioral modification behavioral modification techniques, where you actually help people to change the behaviors that they normally have. And they are quite often little steps, just like in your shoes that I was saying. All of this is actually about taking lots of little steps, not these great big giant ones, because that can be too overwhelming. So I think I'm going to speak to that shortly about that as well. So what I want to get clear with you is that stamina shoes, it's kind of like when you're on a marathon and you're running with a crowd, and then suddenly the crowd starts cheering. You see the people picking up a bit of speed and a bit of a spring in their step, and it's like, whoa, oh yes, no, I can do this. And when you've got your cheerleaders around you, fantastic. And look, here's the thing as well. If you don't have any cheerleaders, be your own biggest cheerleader, start going, and then finding groups that will also support you, who are going through the same kind of journey as you. It's going to make a tremendous difference to you as well. So I really hope you found that useful. Stamina shoes, really good ones to have. Keep on trucking, you know, as Matthew McConaughey would say. So when the going gets tough, and that, you know, I've got to tell you, especially from the point of addictions, it can get really rough, and you really need a good pair of stamina shoes on, and you really do need a very good support network to help you through those tough times, because you know, you get withdrawals, it gets pretty rough sometimes, and you know, you've really got to have your wherewithal. You've got to really have, I'm done, you know, I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'll just quickly say this before I go. There was a lady that I knew who put her I'm done shoes on, checked herself into rehab, and she said it was the roughest 2 to 3 weeks of her entire life, because her withdrawal symptoms were so bad, and she was dedicated. She just went, I'm just not going back there. I'm just not going back there. I do not want this for the rest of my life. I cannot do this. I'm not happy. I'm so freaking miserable. I can't do it anymore. I'm not doing it anymore. End of story. And that really does, you know, it is an instant decision. I found over the years that people literally get to a point where it just goes boom, and you really do make decisions in a moment like that. So once you've got your countdown shoes on, and then that power, that drive to no longer, no matter what it took, she was not going to go back to the way it was before. She kept her stamina shoes on. She kept on trucking, and she got through it. And she did that all on her own steam, eh? And I mean, like, I'm hats off to her. That's an amazing journey, and she's been clean ever since. So, you know, maybe you know somebody who knows this, and you know, you can go, right, okay, I understand where they are in the journey. This kind of information really does help you, especially understand people with addictions, with socially accepted addictions as well. When you start seeing people spending so much time on their devices, so much time in the gym, you know, doing excessive exercise. You know, we have a lot of socially accepted kind of addictions, unfortunately, as well. So, you know, overworking, overeating, undereating, you name it, there's a whole list, hey? But hopefully this has given you some sort of insight. So the idea is, like, I would love to have it where you can not only identify for yourself, but you can start going, okay, I understand. And there's no judgment in it. It's just that's just where they are on their journey. That's just where they are on their path. Anyway, I hope you really found that useful. So keep on trucking shoes in there going. And sometimes you need them as well, just to get through life, because life stuff, you know, just throws you curveballs, and you go, whoa, where did that come from? A lot of people in the pandemic had to have their keep on trucking shoes going then, didn't they? So I hope you found that useful. If you did, please thumbs up, like, and share if you're on YouTube. And if you're in Facebook, please feel free to share. Or if you know of anyone who needs any help, maybe you can, you know, reach out to them and just let them know that this group is here and that we can support. And that's what we're all about. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Namaste.